Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, all this week we are journeying through competitive formats with Kaladesh. We had Standard on Monday, yesterday we had Modern, today is Legacy Day. So we are heading to Legacy to check out a super sweet deck. This is Imperial Painter, recently took a Magic Online user by the name of MDA11 to a 5-0 finish in a Legacy League. So congrats to MDA11 on their finish with the deck. A quick reminder before we break it all down. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Imperial Painter is built around Imperial Recruiter. 3 mana 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, you get to tutor for a creature card with power 2 or less and put it in your hand. Then you shuffle your library. So what this deck wants to do is use Imperial Recruiter for multiple things. For one thing, it can set up a game-ending combo, but it also gets some good value disruption creatures as well. So as far as the game-winning combo, we're tutoring up Painter's Servant, a 1/3, one of the oddest cards in all of Magic. When it comes into play, you get to choose a color, and all cards that are in play, all spells, all permanents, are the chosen color in addition to their other colors. So this deck, you are typically going to name blue with Painter's Servant. And we'll talk about why in a minute. But you get the Painter's Servant down, then you have Grindstone. 1 mana, you pay 3, target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard, and if they share at least one color, you repeat the process. So with a Painter's Servant down, you activate Grindstone 1 time, and you mill your opponent's entire library, because all the cards are going to be blue, they're always going to share that color, so you just mill 2, mill 2, mill 2, mill 2, until your opponent's library is completely gone, and then they draw a card on their upkeep and lose. Then we also have Enlightened Tutor, pretty much the only reason this deck is splashing white, to help set up the combo. When we're not tutoring up Painter's Servant with our Imperial Recruiter, we can tutor it up with our Enlightened Tutor, also finds a Grindstone. As far as other things we can do with Painter's Servant, probably the best trick, and the reason why we put Painter's Servant on blue all the time, is Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast. So Pyroblast, Red Elemental Blast, very close to the same card. They counter a spell if it's blue, or a blue spell, and they can also destroy a blue permanent. So if we set Painter's Servant on blue, Pyroblast is 1 red mana, counter any spell, and also 1 red mana, destroy any permanent. It can hit lands, it can hit creatures, all at instant speed. It just becomes the most absurd removal spell of all time. So that's why you name blue on Painter's Servant. As far as the rest of the cards we can tutor up with Imperial Recruiter, we can search up a Goblin Welder, which allows us to sack an artifact to get an artifact back from our graveyard. We have things like Sensei's Divining Top, which lets us kind of filter through our deck a little bit, Ensnaring Bridge for protection, but we can sack these things, get back a Grindstone, sack a Grindstone, get back an Ensnaring Bridge. We can do some tricks where we sack our Ensnaring Bridge so we can attack. So there's some really cool tricks we can do with Goblin Welder. We can also search up Magus of the Moon, which is part of our Blood Moon package. So this deck is really a Ensnaring Bridge Blood Moon type deck. So that's how it disrupts the opponent, keeps them from winning, hopefully, by locking out creatures with Bridge, locking out lands with Blood Moon, and that buys you time to set up the game-winning combo, or win with Magus of the Moon beats and Imperial Recruiter beats if it really comes down to it. The rest of the deck, we get some fast mana, so if you're playing Blood Moons and you're playing Ensnaring Bridges, you want to get them down as quickly as possible. Lotus Petal, Ancient Tomb, City of Traders allow the deck to potentially turn 1 Blood Moon, which is really powerful. And then the new card, the card from Kaladesh, we have Chandra, Torch of Defiance, showing up in Legacy. This is kind of the backup finisher, so you get this down. I love Chandra in Ensnaring Bridge decks. This one works kind of like Chandra Pyromancer in that it exiles cards, so it's generating card advantage, but it's not putting those cards into your hand, so if you don't play them, you're not getting stuff stuck in your hand for your Ensnaring Bridge, allowing your opponent to attack. So it generates card advantage while still working with Ensnaring Bridge. Plus, this Chandra can also just kill the opponent 2 damage at a time by not casting the card that you exile. Also can make some mana, kill some creatures, stuff like that. But I think that the main idea of Chandra here is you lock up the game of Blood Moons and Ensnaring Bridge, plus, dealing that 2 damage, playing the cards if they are beneficial. And then once you ultimate, you can like Sensei's Divining Top, flip your Divining Top, Sensei's Divining Top, top and just burn your opponent out right away with the 5 damage whenever you cast a spell ultimate. Rest of the mana base, we get some fetch lands, a couple of dual lands in Plateau to splash for the Enlightened Tutor, and some mountains. In the sideboard, Tormod's Crypt and Rest in Peace fight graveyard decks. Phyrexian Revoker and Ratchet Bomb help fight permanents. Ether's Sworn Canonist, Thorn of Amethyst, Trinisphere fight against spell-based decks, storm decks. They're pretty good against just like Delvery decks that are looking to chain together cantrips, really slows those decks down. Firebolt for some removal. Durgar Hedge Mage gets an artifact or an enchantment, depending on your mana base. And then some Kozilek's Return as a sweeper against aggro decks. And last but not least, a couple Koth of the Hammers as a backup win con in controlling decks, shuts down games really quickly. And that is Imperial Painter for Legacy, featuring Chandra, Torch of Defiance. And that's been our Instant Deck Tech for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.